A lot has gone wrong at Manchester United since Sir Alex Ferguson left, most notably the recruitment. So let's look at every first team player Manchester United have signed since Fergie left and give them a rating out of 10. Number 1, Guillermo Varela. The first signing of the David Moyes era, Guillermo Varela's time as a Red Devil was pretty short-lived. He signed after a successful 2-week trial and made 11 first team appearances for the club, whilst having loan spells with the Madrid B team in Frankfurt. After 4 years he left Old Trafford to return to Penarol, and now he's with Copenhagen in Denmark. A disappointing signing that gets a 2 out of 10. Number 2, Marouane Fellaini. The tone was set when David Moyes' first marquee signing was Marouane Fellaini. Best known for his ability in the air and the danger of his elbows, Fellaini was far from a fan favourite at Old Trafford, but did come up with some key goals over the years with his smash-mouth style. He left for China earlier in the year, and we're going to give his time at Man United a 6.5 out of 10. Number 3, Saidi Yanko. He would play just once for the Red Devils, starting the humiliating 4-0 defeat at MK Dons in the League Cup, hooked at half-time for Andreas Pereira. He spent 2 years at Man United before joining Celtic, where he also flopped. Saidi Yanko gets a 0.5 out of 10. Number 4, Juan Mata. The fourth and final signing of the David Moyes era, he's the only player still at Manchester United. Mata arrived from Chelsea in January 2014, forced out by Jose Mourinho. And he's done well at times in a Manchester United shirt, although it's obvious his best days were spent at Stamford Bridge rather than Old Trafford. But he's still an intelligent midfielder with an eye for goal, and we'll give Juan Mata a 7.5 out of 10. Number 5, Ander Herrera. On to the Louis van Gaal signings, and it kicked off with Ander Herrera from Athletic Bilbao. Arriving for just shy of £30 million in 2014, Herrera enjoyed a strong first year in England, and to be honest he was always pretty reliable in a Manchester United shirt, although he turned into more of a midfield shithouse as the years went by. He left this summer on a free to PSG, and we're giving Ander Herrera an 8 out of 10. Number 6, Luke Shaw. A £30 million signing from Southampton, Luke Shaw's time at Manchester United can be summed up as signs of promise, a horrific leg break, a glorious recovery and a Jose Mourinho spat. Shaw's a very talented footballer and there's got to be more to come from him, so we're giving Luke Shaw a 7.5 out of 10. Number 7, Marcos Rojo. Costing £16 million on the back of the 2014 World Cup, it looked straight away that Marcos Rojo was going to be a mistake. Is he a centre back or a left back, or is he just naff at both? It's amazing that he's actually still with the club, to be honest with you, and he's a player that fans surely want to see the back of. There's been the odd shining moment, but Rojo gets a 4 out of 10. Number 8, Angel Di Maria. Now this was sad. Di Maria was a club record signing and dazzled when he first arrived, showing why he was so good for Real Madrid. But the wheels soon fell off, with the player and his family unsettled in the region after a break-in attempt at his house. After just a year he left for PSG, leaving fans wondering where it all went wrong. Angel Di Maria gets a 5 out of 10. Number 9, Daley Blind. A player who Louis van Gaal knew he could trust, Daley Blind arrived from Ajax for £14 million in 2014, adding versatility to the squad, ready to fill in here, there and everywhere. Now he was far from sensational, but Daley Blind was damn solid at times and probably doesn't get enough credit, so we're going to give him a 7 out of 10. Number 10, Radamel Falcao. A strange loan signing on deadline day, Radamel Falcao came out of nowhere to sign for Manchester United. But sadly, he couldn't recapture his goal scoring best after a horrific knee injury. The Colombian managed just 4 goals for the club, failing to secure a permanent move. He did get back to his best, but his Manchester United times get a 1.5 out of 10. Number 11, Timothy Fosu-Mensah. A versatile Dutchman signed from Ajax, more was expected from Fosu-Mensah. He's only 21, but I think he could have been much further up the pecking order by now. He's had indifferent loan spells at Crystal Palace and Fulham, but is yet to feature this season in a Manchester United shirt. He's still only 21, so there's time, and the Dutch defender gets a 4.5 out of 10. Number 12, Victor Valdez. Once he came out of his Barcelona comfort zone, we saw how good Victor Valdez really was. Although to be fair, he barely played for Manchester United and also refused to play for the reserves, which led to his exit under Louis van Gaal. The World Cup winning stopper gets a lowly 2 out of 10. Number 13, Memphis Depay. This was another sad state of affairs. Depay looked like the second coming of Ronaldo when he arrived at Manchester United, but sadly he was more like Manucho. Depay never hit it off in a Manchester United shirt, with his flicks and tricks struggling to make a difference in the rough and tumble Premier League. After a year and a half, Depay moved on to Lyon, where he's really shown Manchester United what he's about, but sadly it was too late for his Old Trafford career. Memphis Depay gets a 3 out of 10. Number 14, Matteo Darmian. Yet another useless Manchester United signing. The Italian cost just over £12 million from Torino, and it's criminal that he played nearly 100 times for the club. He left this summer to return to Italy, with his reputation now non-existent. Darmian gets a 2.5 out of 10. Number 15, Bastian Schweinsteiger. A German legend who finally emerged in the Premier League, it didn't fully go to plan for Bastian Schweinsteiger in a red shirt. It quickly became clear he wasn't as mobile as he once was, and once Jose Mourinho arrived, Schweinsteiger was pretty much binned off completely, sent to Chicago Fire in March 2017 despite having more than a year left on his deal. An underwhelming move that gets a 4 out of 10. Number 16, Morgan Schneiderlin. The disappointments just keep on coming. Schneiderlin was great for Southampton, but Manchester United was clearly a step too far for the French midfielder. He's another player whose Old Trafford career didn't last long, joining Everton for £24 million after a year and a half, and it's fair to say he hasn't performed there either. Schneiderlin gets a 3.5 out of 10. Number 17, Sergio Romero. Finally a player who's done okay at Manchester United, kind of. As backup keepers go, you can't really ask for more than Sergio Romero. The Argentinian is a solid understudy who seems happy to play second fiddle, but is good enough to come in when needed. Now in his 5th season, Romero hasn't even played 50 games for the club, but we're still going to give the number 2 stopper a 7 out of 10. Number 18, Anthony Martial. Now we're talking. The ice cool Frenchman signed for Monaco in a deal that kind of came out of nowhere in 2016. His debut was sensational with a stunner against Liverpool, but he's also had low moments in a Red Devil shirt. He swapped shirt numbers to accommodate other players, and there was talk of him leaving, but under Solskjær he got back to his best last season and is one of the few shining lights to arrive since Fergie left. Tony Martial gets a 9 out of 10. Number 19, Regan Poole. The defender played once for Manchester United, a last minute sub in a Europa League game, and now he's in League One with MK Dons. Not sure what Manchester United saw here. Regan Poole gets a 0.5 out of 10. Number 20, Eric Bailly. Into the Mourinho signings we go. When Bailly first arrived from Villarreal, he quickly proved that he could be a future Manchester United great, excelling with his pace and power at the back. However, it's horrendously unravelled since then. The defender's been injured a lot of the time and never quite got back to the form he showed when he first arrived in England. Still with the club, Bailly gets a 5 out of 10 so far. Number 21, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. It's not often you get a Cantona-style figure emerge through the doors at Manchester United, but Zlatan was exactly that. Signed on a free, age didn't matter to Ibra, who scored 29 goals across 2 spells with the club. He wasn't there long, but Ibra was one of the best signings Manchester United have made since Fergie left, and they need more larger-than-life players like him right now. The Super Swede gets a 9 out of 10. Number 22, Henrik Mkhitaryan. The Armenian midfielder really should have done better than he did, but he just couldn't really match the levels he showed at Borussia Dortmund. He did score that sensational scorpion kick that was kind of offside then bettered by Olivier Giroud, and that was about as good as it got for Mkhitaryan in a Red Devil shirt. We'll give him a 5.5 out of 10. Number 23, Paul Pogba. This man divides opinion like no other. The French midfielder can both amaze and frustrate with his performances, but maybe does get a bit too much flack compared to some of his teammates. Pogba is a top-class midfielder in a struggling Manchester United team, and doesn't seem like the character to drag the team up himself like many Man United greats have done in the past. He should be their best signing post-Fergie, but instead he gets an 8 out of 10. Number 24, Victor Lindelof. The Swede initially struggled in red, but over the past 12 months has really started to improve and is potentially their best centre-back option to play alongside Harry Maguire. Still only 25, Lindelof has time to get even better and prove he's worth the £30 million investment. But for now, he gets a 7 out of 10. Number 25, Romelu Lukaku. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, and Manchester United should not have got rid of Romelu Lukaku. The Belgian is one of the best strikers around, even if his first touch can leave a lot to be desired. And his goal return wasn't even bad for Manchester United, just not in the 20s like they desired. But he was a fine striker for them, and he gets a 7.5 out of 10. Number 26, Nemanja Matic. Man of the match on his debut, Nemanja Matic looked like a great signing at the beginning, but the £40 million man eventually began to slow down and looked like a shadow of his previous best last season, which saw his Premier League minutes decrease. Now he's not even a starter and gets a 6 out of 10. Number 27, Alexis Sanchez. The signing of Alexis Sanchez couldn't have gone much worse. They beat Man City to his signature, sending Mkhitaryan the other way to Arsenal, but what a colossal disaster it was. On ridiculous wages that broke the wage structure at Old Trafford, not liked by many of his teammates, Alexis Sanchez was not the player he was at Arsenal, suddenly a woeful forward who couldn't drag a team to a result, managing just 5 goals. He should have been at his peak, but Alexis Sanchez gets a 1 out of 10. Number 28, Diogo Dalot. The young Portuguese fullback is certainly one for the future and might actually be a useful signing in the coming years. As it stands, it's been a bit hard to judge him, but we'll give Dalot a 6 out of 10. Number 29, Fred. Fred, what a shambles you've been. You know those players who you can't work out what they're good at? Yeah, that's Fred. The Brazilian midfielder was energetic and busy when he arrived, getting forward and trying to break up play. Now he can barely make a 5-yard pass, much to the anger of Andreas Pereira. Fred gets a woeful 1 out of 10. Number 30, Lee Grant. It's hard to judge Lee Grant, he's a veteran goalkeeper brought in to be third choice, so he's not really doing much. Grant has played once, coming on in a League Cup tie against Derby last season that they eventually lost on penalties. Lee Grant gets a 1.5 out of 10, but what else is he meant to do? Number 31, Daniel James. The first signing by Ole Gunnar Solskjær, Dan James is one of the best players to arrive at Old Trafford in years. The electric wide man has had no bother stepping up to the Premier League, actually being the player that Man United have been looking to for inspiration, which says it all really. The Welshman gets an 8 out of 10. Number 32, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Another sensible signing, Manchester United addressed their right back issues by signing English up-and-comer Wan-Bissaka for a whopping £45 million. And to be honest, he's been good so far, it's a shame about his teammates at the other end of the pitch. Wan-Bissaka gets a 7.5 out of 10. And number 33, Harry Maguire. The most expensive defender in world football, all slabbered Harry Maguire probably wishes he just stayed at Leicester. But to his credit, it's not like he's been bad in a Red Devil shirt. Like Wan-Bissaka, Maguire is probably looking around him and thinking why can't everyone else pull their socks up? The big man will likely get better and better, but maybe not in the Virgil van Dijk style that fans had hoped. He gets a 7 out of 10. So that's every first team player signed by Manchester United since Fergie left rated out of 10. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.